huge cleanup is underway after Typhoon Krathon leaves a trail of destruction across Taiwan. The heavy rain triggered huge landslides in the north, with cars and trucks buried in mud and dirt. Also ahead, the Anaconda strategy. A top Taiwanese naval commander says China is ready and able to blockade the country. Plus, female artists take the lead at a new exhibition in Taipei. Hello and welcome. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. I'm Eric Gao. A huge cleanup operation is underway here in Taiwan after Typhoon Krathon downed trees and triggered flooding in the south of the country. Krathon, which has been downgraded to a tropical depression, slammed into the port city of Kaohsiung on Thursday morning. Its record-breaking winds left a trail of destruction. John Van Trieste reports.
Typhoon Krathon's collision with Taiwan may be over, but the storm hasn't gone quietly. In Kaohsiung, where the eye wall slammed into the coast, debris flew, while high winds trashed this shopping center. Local people had prepared for the worst, but they were still frightened by how fierce the storm ended up being.
台风登陆开始啊，那个风就很强，大概10级、13级的感觉，那个整个我们的铁门啊，楼上那个水塔那边的铁门都整个都轰隆轰隆都很大声，都蛮可怕的。
The port area at the center of this southern city saw damage too, with toppled shipping containers, fallen scaffolding, and fishing boats cast adrift.
我们有派港勤拖船在渔港的堤口那边关注那个船的情况，因为不要让它再往航道这边飘了。因为原则上那个船还是会协助拖回到前镇渔港里面啊。
And the chaos wasn't confined to the areas directly hit in the southwest. The storm's rains wrapped all the way around the opposite side of the island, causing knee-deep floodwaters in northeastern towns like Luodong. The floodwaters have receded, but waterlogged interiors and debris-filled streets remain, leaving a long period of cleanup ahead. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
While Krathon hit Taiwan in the south, it brought record rainfall and triggered landslides in the country's north. Jonathan Kaplan has this story.
Even for Keelung, the northern port city known for its rainy climate, the downpours brought by Typhoon Krathon were intense. This week's storm brought the heaviest rainfall in the 78 years that the city's kept records. The hills around the town have struggled to hold up, and many, like this one, have failed. A landslide here took 10 garbage trucks down with it. Residential areas have also been threatened. Despite the damage, much of Taiwan went back to work on Friday. But with transportation still an issue and fears of more landslides, some, like Miss Chang, who commutes to Taipei, have had to take the day off. Some have questioned why, given the damage, Keelung's mayor didn't give the city a third day off for the typhoon. He says he based his decision on official forecasts, which he says weren't fully accurate in the end.
这个变化或极端气候的关系，这一点可能未来我们会再跟气象署来请教，这些雨量的落差是不是会变成一种常态。
However upset some residents may be at not having another day off, the city does have a lot of work to get through, the start of a difficult post-typhoon cleanup. Chris Ma, John Van Trieste, and Jonathan Kaplan for TaiwanPlus.
Now, Typhoon Krathon has dissipated over the country's mountains, but it is still bringing rainfall to the capital. Rick Lau reports from Taipei.
Well, it's been on and off raining here in the capital, Taipei, but people going about their business as usual here in the shopping district of Zhongshan in central Taipei, going about their days as usual. Schools and businesses have reopened. It's been about a day since Typhoon Krathon came crashing into southwest Taiwan. When it made landfall, it weakened quickly and dissipated. It went from being a typhoon to a tropical storm to a tropical depression before its cloud structure dissipated completely. Why? Well, when a typhoon makes landfall, it can no longer get its energy from the warm waters of the ocean, and Taiwan's high mountains took the force out of the storm. This is just the second ever typhoon recorded to have died like this over Taiwan. It's also the first typhoon to make a direct hit on the city of Kaohsiung in 47 years, testament to the truly unusual trajectory this storm has taken. While Typhoon Krathon has now gone, it won't yet be forgotten. Many communities in this country still clearing up after the devastation. Eason Pan, Ryan Wu and Rick Lowett in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Navy commander says China is capable of blockading Taiwan, and he says the country's forces are increasingly strained. He made those comments in an interview with The Economist. Reese Ayers has more details on what he said and on how China is piling on the pressure.
China is strangling Taiwan like an anaconda. That's the analogy used by Taiwan's Navy commander Tang in an interview with The Economist, as he explains Beijing's increasing attempts to isolate Taiwan. China is slowly but surely tightening around Taiwan, increasing the number of incursions across the Taiwan Strait median line and also the proximity and length of time that they're spending around the country. At the beginning of 2024, in January, there were 36 air incursions, up to 193 in August alone. Sea incursions, 142 in January, almost doubling in August. Previously, the PLA, China's People's Liberation Army, mostly operated to the south and west of Taiwan. But after Nancy Pelosi's visit in August of 2022, they made a huge blockade around the whole country, including off Taiwan's east. And after Lai Ching-te's inauguration as president in May of 2024, another huge blockade drill, including around outlying islands, some of which are just kilometers off the coast of China, really demonstrating how far China is willing to go to completely cut Taiwan off from the rest of the world. Admiral Tang added that the PLA is trying to force Taiwan to make mistakes, but Taiwan is trying to strike a balance between responding but not further provoking China. Some defense analysts say that these drills are a gift for Taiwan, as they're showing Taiwan exactly what China is going to do if it comes to a full blockade. It's also leading Taiwan to look into how it can improve its communications infrastructure, potentially developing its own version of Elon Musk's Starlink to keep the country online in case of a full blockade. But it's also putting strain on Taiwan's military. Defense researchers say that Taiwan's had to deploy up to 50% of its vessels just to counter Chinese patrols, and that half of Taiwan's warships are behind on maintenance. And with the admiral saying that China is ready to blockade Taiwan at any moment, the pressure's on for Taiwan to make sure it's ready as soon as possible. Luffy Lee, Joseph Wu and Reese Ayers for TaiwanPlus.
2 Chinese tourists in Taiwan have been deported after interfering with a protest organized by Hong Kongers on China's National Day. The 2 disrupted the event by tearing down banners and saying that Taiwan and Hong Kong are part of China. Police were called and they asked the 2 men to leave. The Mainland Affairs Council later found that the 2 had falsified their reason for entering the country and they were deported. It's been almost 2 years since Taiwan started a new initiative meant to make its justice system more transparent. Now, Taiwan does not have juries, and this new system does not change that. But now citizens can sit on the bench, helping to judge and sentence cases. Louise Wan explains.
Citizen judges are meant to increase public trust in Taiwan's justice system. In some cases, 3 professional judges are joined by 6 members of the public. A guilty verdict needs at least 2/3 agreement, including at least 1 professional judge and 1 citizen judge. The system started on January 1st, 2023, starting initially with murder cases. Later, the system will expand to other serious crimes. Authorities expected citizen judges to sit on 300 cases each year. In its first year, only 108 cases were heard, and of those, only 13 were concluded. Civic groups say the new system has been a waste of money.
Now, to learn more about this low implementation of the citizen judge system, Billy Wu spoke with Jing Menghua, a law professor at National Yangming Jiaotong University.
Originally, Taiwan set budgets for 305 cases, but so far only 108 cases were filed and 16 judges, 13 concluded. Why Taiwan's citizen judge implementation rate so low?
Because our system is a mandatory system. I mean, if the case criteria is met, the case has to go to citizen judge trials. So it's not up to the prosecutor or the defendant or the judge to decide whether a case actually goes to trial. And since it's mandatory, I think right now we only see 108 cases. I think that reflects the reality. In the real world, so far we only have 108 cases. So that's why I don't think the number is lower than expected is a problem, because that reflects the reality.
In nearly 25% of cases, defendants and prosecutors has requested to exclude citizen judges from trial process. Why do land seem unwilling to involve these citizen judges?
Right now, a lot of reasons provided by the defendant or the prosecutor is that the case is too complicated for citizen judge to understand. But from the court's perspective, the court wants as many cases as possible. The court does not like this phenomenon, because in the future, when we expand to other kinds of cases, to cases with the lowest sentence of 10 years or more, then it will include a lot of non-violent cases, a lot of white-collar crimes, right? These cases are usually more complicated than violent cases. If the court allows all requests not to go to citizen judge trial, then we will have fewer and fewer cases every year, and the system don't have the chance to be tested.
Starting in 2026, more cases will be eligible for citizen judge, with expected rise in caseload and current implementation situation. What measure can be taken to ensure the system can handle this future increase?
So I think we should objectively assess the possibility of implementing a plea bargain system in Taiwan. So basically, plea bargain system allows the defendant to bargain with the prosecutor. This bargaining process takes into consideration of the resources of the prosecution's office. It also provides motive for the defendant to reach a deal with the prosecutor and not go to trial. So it's a win-win situation. And for the court, it's a win too, because the court does not have to impanel a jury to resolve the case, and will save a lot of time and resources.
That was Jing Menghua, a law professor at National Yangming Jiaotong University. And coming up after the break, can China mediate peace in the Middle East? We look at China's ambitions as a peacemaker.
我们大部分都是爱美的。
我自己少遇见一朵花，我可能就不是这个样子。
开始思考什么叫做一个本土性，
大声的唱出来说我是台湾人。
There's so many things that I wish the world could see.
It is amazing to watch this captain maneuver this giant ship. It takes 3 days to cook this. The flavor is unbelievable, incredible.
And it's my turn to make something inspired by Chef Gore. It's going to be quite a challenge.
Can you imagine that?
It's surreal. Yes, so real.
I can't give up. I got some ass kicking to do.
Nice move.
We're pushing each other to explore and experiment in new, different ways.
5, 4, 3, 2.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News.
Exploring the issues that matter to you.
Not just to Taiwan, the whole world is watching.
很多时候是我们眼睛看不到的地方。
We might encounter mishaps and mistakes along the way. But at the end of the day,
it just transmits something straight from the heart.
Yes.
Cheers.
Bon appetit.
It is about the fun and it's about the glamour and it's also about something much deeper than that.
Sometimes you just gotta seize the opportunity. You just gotta do it.
Have a place where you're appreciated for you exactly as you are, and where you can shine and be seen.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. Israel's military says it has killed a local Hamas leader in the occupied West Bank. The Israel Defense Forces says it targeted the Hamas official Zahi Yasser Abd al-Razek Ofi in the Tulkarm refugee camp. At least 18 people were killed in the airstrike. It's the deadliest strike in the West Bank in decades. Over 700 people have been killed there since Israel began its war against Hamas almost a year ago. Iran launched a massive missile attack on Israel on Tuesday, adding further fuel to Middle East tensions. Now, China has previously expressed an interest in acting as a peacemaker in that region. To learn more about this potential role, Ad Obrar spoke to Jean Doucement, a research fellow at the National University of Singapore.
What role will China play in the current tensions between Israel and Iran?
So far, China didn't really express any desire or any capability, actually, to directly get involved between Israel and Iran. The Chinese government has been involved so far only with regards to the Palestinian factions dealing with Fatah and Hamas. And it does have good ties with Iran and business ties with Israel. But despite that, the Chinese government has been very cautious not to position itself as the mediator here.
In March last year, China brokered a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran, de-escalating tensions in the Middle East. Does the current phase of tensions indicate that there are limitations to China's peacemaking diplomacy?
I would start by saying that almost all the external players here have limitations when it comes to their influence on the ongoing conflict, be it inside Gaza or the broader conflict between Israel and Iran. What we've seen in the last year with regards to China is that the Chinese government has not been really able to, or didn't really express its desire to intervene, for instance, in the Red Sea crisis. In the Red Sea crisis, China didn't want to interfere in the conflict, so it mostly made sure that its ships would not be targeted by the Houthis. But beyond that, and beyond, for instance, the mediation between the Palestinian factions, the Chinese government didn't want, and I think didn't have the ability to play a bigger role. It is worth looking if in coming weeks, coming months, China may be playing a role with regards to Gulf countries and Iran, because we know that with the escalation, the ongoing escalation between Israel and Iran, Gulf countries are very concerned.
Do you expect Israel to escalate further with a response to Iran's ballistic missile attack on Tuesday?
What seems clear from the statement of Benjamin Netanyahu is that the Israeli government wants to retaliate after what it considered to be an unacceptable attack on its territory. We don't know exactly the scale, the nature of the Israeli response. I'd be surprised if there is no response at all. But the big question is if it will be similar to what we saw back in April when the Israelis launched a rather limited retaliation on Iran, destroying one radar, but didn't really want to escalate further. What everyone is fearing in the region, I assume, is if Israel goes much higher in terms of the escalation and, for instance, starts targeting the Iranian nuclear facilities. But as of today, as we speak, we don't have a clear indication, again, on the type of retaliation that Israel will conduct.
That was Jean-Louis Simon from the National University of Singapore. A massive cleanup effort is underway in the United States after Hurricane Helene left a path of destruction across the country's southeast. The death toll has reached 200 people, but with more than 600 still missing, that number is expected to rise. Rosie Greninger reports.
A week after making landfall, the full extent of Hurricane Helene's destructive path across the United States southeast becomes clearer. Helene unleashed devastation on homes in North and South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Virginia. At least 200 people have been confirmed dead, making it the deadliest storm to hit mainland America since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. And that toll is expected to rise, with a massive search and rescue operation underway for hundreds of people still missing.
There are 92 rescue teams out working, doing search and rescue right now. We also know there are going to be a significant number of fatalities here. The devastation was beyond belief.
The Category 4 storm with winds of 225 kilometres per hour unleashed some of the worst flooding seen here in decades, sweeping away homes, cars and roads. More than 1 million people remain without power, and food, water and petrol are in short supply. With a cleanup effort underway, some residents have been able to return home, only to find chaos.
It's horrendous. And I mean, there's no roads, there's no evidence of roads, there's no trees, it's just water and stone. There's nothing left.
While visiting those impacted, President Joe Biden pledged immediate aid packages and vowed the federal government will cover the cost of debris removal for 3 months. The US president also directed 1,000 soldiers to help with the response and recovery efforts. That's on top of the 6,000 National Guard members and 4,800 federal aid workers already deployed in the region.
This direct assistance is now being delivered. It's being delivered now directly, with more to come. But folks, this entire project is going to cost billions of dollars, not tens of thousands, not millions, not a billion, billions of dollars.
But even with additional aid, the US government says the clear-up effort of this mammoth storm could take years, leaving residents here with a long road to recovery. Dolphine Chen and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
North Korea has mocked South Korea's Armed Forces Day parade, calling it a clown show. According to North Korean state media, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's sister downplayed the South's military capabilities. She also criticized the United States for deploying a bomber at the military parade. During the parade, South Korea unveiled a non-nuclear ballistic missile, which analysts believe can penetrate North Korea's bunkers. Hidden themes, self-reflection, and depictions of womanhood are all on display at a new exhibition at the Taipei Fine Arts Museum. Harrell Hughes went to meet some of the artists.
Here at Taipei Fine Arts Museum, a new exhibit has opened, one that showcases female artists. It's called Enclave and Autobiography and features more than 100 works of art from 28 artists.
自传是女性文学里面常常出现的一个体例。很多女性作家她用就是书写自我的方式去更深入的了解重组自我。那女性艺术家也是一样。
From installations and paintings to self-portraits, the work spanned generations between the post-war period and present day. The majority of featured artists are Taiwanese women, including Chen Hui-chiao, showcasing 2 works of art. The first is titled Silent, made of cotton, strands of hair, and hidden needles, bringing together the idea of beauty and pain. The other, titled Between Stops, is made of glass and compressed feathers, a reference to her dreams.
当时都是全部在探讨潜意识跟梦境这个关联，所以我用羽毛这个东西或是飞这个东西，去象征的我的意思，可能我想要自由的去天马行空的妄想，可是事实上现实上你事实上是没办法这样子的，所以它其实就被框在一个框里头了。
Chen is happy to showcase her work alongside the other artists in a space where women can freely express their ideas together. The exhibit will run at Taipei Fine Arts Museum until December. Eason Chen, Jeffrey Chen, and Harel Hughes in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for joining us this evening for TaiwanPlus News. Grab our app to get more of our reports directly on your mobile device. Now, before we go, check out this new exhibition in Geneva showcasing artifacts from Gaza, Sudan, Syria, and Libya. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and have a good weekend.
For more stories from here in Honolulu, Hawaii, and around the world, make sure to visit us on social media.